Hello everybody, I am Jared Ross, the GeneaVlogger, and welcome back to another Professional Genealogist Reacts. On today's video, I will be reacting to Husband Does AncestryDNA Finds Out He's Related to Wife by the Bare Pantry Show. Now this is the second reaction I've done to a DNA results video from the Bare Pantry Show. The first one was from the wife, Barbara, I think it was, who was from Belize, and she showed her family tree at the end, and there was some double cousins type of stuff going on, and it was quite interesting. So this one, I'm not quite sure what to expect necessarily, but related to wife, maybe that means that we're going to look at genetic matches and maybe she's going to be in there. Now this follow-up videos and other ones from Bare Pantry have been suggested to me by a lot of people, so I'm going to slowly be doing more and more of them, as long as Bare Pantry doesn't mind me reacting to a bunch of their videos. That's all I'm going to say for now, but before we do jump into the video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. That really does help me out. Also, be sure to subscribe and click that bell for notifications on future videos. With all that fun stuff said, let's go ahead and watch the video.
Guys, I'm so excited. Oh my God, this has been a journey. Great news, your results has arrived. Ethnicity breakdown, DNA story. Ethnicity breakdown, I guess? Oh, just go to the arrow. Nigeria, 24%.
Okay.
I got like 16% Nigerian.
I got it.
Cameroon, Congo, and Western Bantu peoples, 20%. Southern India, 19%.
Interesting. Southern India.
Your mama didn't lie. Your mama didn't lie.
No, I know my mama is a half.
So Benin, Togo, 10%. Mali, 8%. Northern India, 7%. Another India. Dang. Ivory Coast of Ghana, 4%. Norway, 2%. Germanic Europe, 2%. Jada?
So he was saying his mother is half, and I'm guessing he's going to say half Indian, which makes sense because 19 and 7 makes 26, and 25% is about a grandparent. Well, that's perfectly on point. If his mom's half, then he got just a little bit more of that Indian DNA from her than the non-Indian side of her ancestry.
The one you wanted is here, but it's only 1%.
Which one now?
European Jewish.
Yeah.
She had some Jew in her.
I don't count these 1%.
Jada's gonna count it because we knew it, some Jewish would be in there because of his mom's last name.
I got a German in me too.
Jada's peeking in.
What's his mom's last name? I'm curious what the mom's last name is, because there is this common misconception of all of these Jewish names when there are very, very few names that are truly Jewish. Most Jewish names are actually names from elsewhere that were just commonly adopted among Jewish families. A big one is Sephardic Jewish families. The majority of Sephardic Jewish names that are commonly adopted by Sephardi families are common names among Portuguese and Spanish, or any Portuguese, Spanish population group. So, you know, anyone in like South America, Central America, they'll have a lot of surnames similar to Sephardi surnames. And then even in the Philippines, I mean, if you look at people with last names in the Philippines, they actually have a lot of surnames that would sound like a Sephardi surname. But that's an issue with it, is you can't think of them as, oh, well, they're Sephardic surnames. Yeah, there are surnames that maybe give a hint of possible Jewish ancestry or Sephardi ancestry or whatever, because they were commonly adopted among many Jewish families. But you also need to consider how often were they adopted by non-Jewish families. So could that be part of it? So I wonder, you know, if his mom had a last name like Levy or Cohen, those are the true Jewish names. Beyond that, there's not really a whole lot. You could probably argue some names like Israel or like Ben Zion or something where it's, you know, kind of like a Hebrew-based thing. But it makes me wonder, what is the surname in his family that makes them think they have Jewish ancestry?
It's 2%. It's more than the Jewish. England and Northwestern Europe, only 1%. Oh,
Interesting. So the additional community is Indian diaspora in the Caribbean and Fiji. So that must be what his Indian's coming from. Afro-Caribbean peoples of Belize, Honduras, and Nicaragua. Lesser Antilles, African Caribbeans. So that's pretty interesting. I didn't even know that there was an Indian diaspora in the Caribbean and Fiji, so I wonder what the history is behind that. That's one of the cool things about DNA, is that it really brings out all of the interesting migration patterns, because even though we think of a lot of the main ones where it's huge groups, there's so many different migratory patterns of all different population groups, even if it's just small pockets of people, that are truly interesting stories. So I wonder if he'll talk about that at all.
Italian. I have a lot of that in me. Eastern Bantu peoples 1%, Northern Italy 1%, and then the Indian diaspora in the Caribbean. You know, I have all those things too.
India,
Afro-Caribbean. Afro-Caribbean. All right, let's go back out and see it here. I think this is a better.
Wow, that's a
breakdown.
big mix.
The same thing, but it just looks, the layout is better.
Can you click on the Indian and see like what part?
Well, Joe was saying, Joe, how much African you say you may have come up with? Well, good 80-something%, right?
It's about 75.
And he said more than that, and I said, I don't think it's going to be that much because of the mixture of your mommy. Southern India, you want me to hit on that?
Yeah.
There's Southern India, 19%. It says your ethnicity estimate is 19%, but can range anywhere from 6 to 27%. So it's,
Indian?
Jade, I don't know what to say these countries or cities. Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Sri Lanka. The Sri Lanka's in there. That's where they say your granny come from.
Bangladesh.
Bangladesh, that's one I could say. There's no Punjab. What the hell? Where's the everybody we meet that's from India? We go.
Punjab.
We say, are you from Punjab?
I don't know if Ancestry at that time defined it as Punjab. I'm not sure. Maybe if anyone knows, comment below. I will say this video is December 17th, 2020, so it's just over a year old. So I'm sure there's been a few updates since then. So they may have changed it, but yeah. And
And you're like,
What is Punjab?
are you from there too? Punjab is a city, right? A city? A city or a country? A city in India. You can go back, yes.
Go back where?
To visit India.
No, go back to Africa.
Daddy, you got no Hebrew in him?
Is that the Jew?
Oh, maybe.
That's the Jewish.
Hey,
Go click on the Jewish part. See what part.
I'm going back to Africa. That's where I got the most stuff.
European Jewish. It says it's 1%, but it can range from 0 to 1%, girl.
yeah, and it's not going to tell you an exact. Even this portion where it's laying it out, it could be from outside of those portions too. But this is just the main area where most people with European Jewish ancestry would trace it to. So if they truly do have 1% Jewish ancestry, in other words, it's not a misread, then you're looking at least a third great grandparent or further. And usually at 1%, it's going to be most likely further. So there is the possibility that this is a misread and it's not even truly from his ancestry. It's just because of the state of the DNA, it was hard for them to figure it out, and they thought, oh, well, it was Jewish.
We stretching this one.
Whatever.
Latva. How you say that? Latvia. Lithuania, Belarus, Poland,
Ukraine,
Germany. Let's go back and say the German. It's like 2%.
I know I got a little touch.
It says it can be as much as 4%. It's that Czechia and the Germany Jada that gives in the Jew. We don't call these 1%. You know, but you know what? These 1% can change though. We should start counting them.
Yeah, they can.
Let's see the Northern Europe where you are.
North and South.
Is that another African country? This one?
Northern India. Let's see Northern India.
7%.
Nepal.
India and Nepal.
Pakistan. Oh, Pakistan.
No, it's not covered. Well, it's in there, but it's more in this.
Oh.
It's okay. Let me show on the thing. It's Pakistan's in there too, but this part here, the highlighted part, is more where his people are from. But they cover.
It's not necessarily that it's more where the people are from. She's a little off there saying that it's not part of it. I mean, yeah, there is, the Northern India seems to be much more closely related to that, but all these people in all these areas have an ancestral connection to Northern India, and so his ancestry could be from Pakistan.
Covered the whole region because maybe they got a little bit of something from that region. So later on, when they update it again, when more people put in, it might come more
Now it
Pakistani.
does because Josh is Indian.
You see, it's not any more or less Pakistani. It's just that area. Technically, as they do more and more testing, maybe they can figure out if it's more Pakistani in a sense or separate that. But basically what they're saying is they can't really tell any difference between the people all around those regions. They all have some sort of genetic connection, but a large amount of people with those readings are mostly in that one area. But that doesn't necessarily mean that his family is directly from those areas. It's just a little bit higher of a possibility.
After we turned off the camera, I forgot that I was screen recording, and I just continued to open the different regions in Joe's ancestry just to see the different areas that he came from, right? So then I decided to go ahead and find DNA matches to see if there's other people that's connected to him.
Matches.
That's already in the system. So I opened it here.
Okay, we have a lot of pretty high up matches there. First cousin to second cousin.
Wanted to give me a guided tour. And so I opted out of that. I didn't want to mess around with no tour right now. I wanted to get right into the meat of the matter. Right away, this person comes up as a first cousin, Armand Arson. And I know that Joe has a nephew named Armand, but we've never really met him before. So
Yeah, so it says, okay, I really am not the biggest fan when people say it comes up saying it's a first cousin. It's saying close family to first cousin. Basically, there's multiple options that can come up for that distance. I'm hoping, I see she's about to click it, or it looks like she is. So hopefully she does, because then it'll show all of the possibilities of how he's related.
Go ahead and open up this little tab because I couldn't get through to my
Yeah.
sister-in-law to ask if this was the same person. It says 100% grandparent, grandchild, half sibling, aunt or uncle, or niece or nephew. So he would be considered a nephew.
Yep.
But they call it the first cousin, you know, when you first see the tab. So definitely he is Joe's nephew. It's 1496 cm. See, it's a lot.
CM stands for centimorgan. It's just a measurement of DNA.
So then I started to scroll through all the different second cousins that showed up in the second cousin category, and didn't really recognize anybody except for this Richard Bishop. Joe has a brother named Richard Bishop, but this is not his brother. And Joe has an uncle named Richard Bishop, and that uncle has a kid named Richard Bishop. So we think that's the uncle's kid. All right.
Or Richard Bishop's just a super common name in the family. These are a lot of really good matches. Like 600 centimorgans, 464, 436, 426, 404. These are all really, really good and likely very useful, unless he's dealing with endogamy, which is a common issue for people from the Caribbean. Now, I'm not quite sure where he's from. Maybe he's from Belize. I'm not sure if Belize has the endogamy issues. Usually it's more of the island countries that experience endogamy, at least at this point, where if like it was causing high amounts of shared DNA, it'd be up in the 400s. But these are the type of matches that would be a genetic genealogist's dream to get when starting on somebody's family tree building and using DNA, because then you can not only confirm what you have, but then expand upon it, assuming that these people have trees, which looks like a good amount of them have at least something provided.
And we're getting into the category of third cousins. Right here, see? Third cousins.
Yeah, so probably not. Well, I guess let's keep looking, because there's different kinds of endogamy. So,
and I'm going to continue scrolling through these. So now you can see the CM is getting less. This is like 200 CM, right? For this one.
just still really
right
good
here.
for the most part.
And we just keep scrolling.
Honestly, I don't think endogamy is happening, because usually when you find endogamous matches, the average size of each segment will usually be less than 10. So basically you just divide the total centimorgans by the number of segments. And if it's more than 10 centimorgans average a segment, you're leaning towards the side of it's probably not an endogamous match. So if you have a lot of matches where they're high amounts, but you're not sure, are you dealing with endogamy? Do you just luck out and get a bunch of good matches? Well, look at the segments and that could give you an idea. So with like all of these matches, everything seems to be well over an average of 10 centimorgans per segment. But as I said in the beginning, a lot of people have suggested these videos to me, and part of that has been people saying that they really dive into the matches and the genetic genealogy, and we're already seeing that here, especially being that this video is a year old. Hopefully she's dived into this further and been able to expand her husband's family tree. But let's keep going.
Right now, and so far we're not related, thank God. And then bam, look, Barbara Greenwich, fourth to sixth cousin with Joe. We share 28 cm DNA.
Across one
Oh
segment.
my God. So I opened up the tab, and I'm 27% third cousin once removed, or half third cousins, half second cousins, what, twice removed? I don't know what all this stuff means, guys.
Okay, so to clarify, what this is saying, these are the possible relationships based on the amount of centimorgans. So every centimorgan number, they've basically figured out if you're a certain relationship of distance, you're usually going to fall within a certain range of centimorgans. Well, there's a lot of overlap in that where, you know, you could have 28 centimorgans and you could be a third cousin once removed, but then you could also have a half third cousin that's also 28 centimorgans. So what it's saying is, based on the averages and all of the data they have, there's a 27% chance that she would fall into one of those four categories: third cousin once removed, half third cousin, half second cousin twice removed, or second cousin 3 times removed. Then there's a 22% chance that she could be any of those four: third cousin, second cousin twice removed, etc. And then there's probably going to be more. And as you go down in the percentage of possibility, it basically means that you're going to be at the extreme ends of that sort of range. So if she scrolls down and we look at, like, we see something that's, you know, there's a 2% chance, well, there is a chance of it, but you're either going to be at the really, really, really low end of that possibility or the really, really high end of that possibility. So the way to use this is, if you're trying to find how you're related to a match, you basically want to go, what are the most likely relationships? Go and see if you can do that. So it's a lot harder at the distances, but third cousin once removed, well, what does a third cousin once removed share with you? So to make it easy, let's look at it as if we were looking for a third cousin. So the top relationship, let's say that was third cousin. Well, a third cousin is going to share second great grandparents with you. So what that means is, to figure out how you're related to this person, you'll want to trace all of your lines on your family tree to your second great grandparents, or at least any lines that you would know that this cousin's related through. So if Barbara wants to try to figure out how she is related to her husband, then she'd want to build out her family tree really far back, because a third cousin once removed, you could share either your second great grandparents with them, which would be their third great grandparents, or it's your third great grandparents and their second great grandparents. So you'd want it built out to at least your third great grandparents and their third great grandparents. And then you want to try to find, is there a way we can connect the trees? Can we find any of the same third great grandparents? So for anyone who has gone on to DNA Painter and looked at the shared centimorgan project table, that's exactly what this is doing. It's just doing it in a different way using a different data set. So hopefully that's not too confusing and that was helpful for everybody, but let's continue.
Guys, I've never heard that me and Joe are related. Look, 22%. I mean, Belize has always been considered, you know, the royal breed country, but it's like, oh my God. So I started to scream. I called for Jada because she went on her walk. I logged out of Joe's thing. I logged into my thing. And I'm dying for Jada's stuff to come back, and it didn't come back yet, right? So I'm scrolling through all these cousins. I'm like, well, I'm going to go into the 4th to 6th cousin categories the same way. You know, the same place I found me, I'm going to go look for Joe. And here we are at the 43 CMs, you know, scrolling. And then look, did you guys see it? Look, Joe.
Yeah.
Joe Greenwich. What the hell, guys? How can we be related? So let's open it and see what his says. Give it a moment. It says
the same thing.
That mine says.
Yeah, it's not going to say anything different.
Oh my.
Those relationship bases are based on the amount of shared centimorgans, and it's 28. It's not different between your profiles.
God.
Oh, okay, that was the end of the video. I guess it makes sense with the end screens. So that was a pretty decent video. Kind of slow in the beginning, kind of going through every single one of those percentages. But the end was kind of interesting, looking at the genetic matches. I mean, that was one of the best deep dives I've seen in one of these videos, looking at matches. I definitely want to learn more about the Indian migration to the Caribbean, because I'd never heard of that before. So I wonder what the history is behind that. And then as for them being cousins, I mean, I think it's pretty likely, yeah, they're probably cousins. It's going to be very distant. I mean, at best, it's going to be like a third cousin something, as we saw. But I mean, it could be like a 5th cousin, 6th cousin distance, anything like that. But even let's say they're third cousins. So like I said, that means they share second great grandparents. Well, for someone of my age, I'm a millennial. I was born in the late 80s. My third great grandparents were mostly born in the early 19th century, mid 19th century. So between like 1825, 1850, the majority. So if she's one generation older than me, then she's probably going to be looking at people born right around the turn of the 19th century. That would be the shared ancestry she has with her husband. But that's the closest. So basically, their shared ancestry is going back at least 200 years, which obviously makes sense why they would have no idea that they are related. But if the record sets are pretty strong wherever their shared ancestry is from, there is a possibility they could figure out how they are actually related. But even without the paper trail, if there are cousins on certain sides of the family that have also tested that they can then correlate amongst each other, they might be able to figure out at least like, oh, well, maybe we're related through this side on her family and this side on his family. So if either of their parents are available to test, that would also be interesting to see, do they test? How much are they matching each other? And plus, that's just going to help all around if you are trying to expand your family tree, having your parents test to be able to compare to, because then you'll know which matches are from what side of your family. Now, if you haven't seen the video where I react to Barbara's DNA results, be sure to check it out right here. And if you enjoyed, please be sure to give this a thumbs up. It really does help me out. You can click right about here if you'd like to subscribe. It is completely free to do so. And you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram at GeneaVlogger. I'm the GeneaVlogger. See you in my next video.